So, can you tour on a ZH2? I already have kind of fuel anxiety about going for a long ride on the ZH2, but I've done what I can for comfort. As comfortable as the ZH2 seat is, I reckon after 300 kilometres, my coccyx's going to be numb. So I put the air hawk on there to help with that, and that's about all I've done. So we will see how we go riding this more than blasting it around some streets, and how it performs on a longer trip. I can't find anyone else who's done it, and there's probably a good reason for that. I'll probably be filling her up every 50 or 60 kilometres. Anyway, let's go. It's been a long time since I've ridden up these roads towards the Riverland in South Australia. It's about 300 kilometres, and none of these freeways were here. Used to ride out through the north of Adelaide, out through Jepps Cross, and head out through Elizabeth, past Gawler, and out that way. But now you come this way, and back then, probably some of the last rides I did to the Riverland were on my KR 250, and back then it was a bit different. This is kind of in the early or mid 90s, and there was, the only speed cameras you'd see are occasionally the tripod on the side of the road. There was no guns or anything, so they weren't very common, and depending on the route you took, you didn't see any police. So I used to time myself to see how I'd go. I'd throw some new rings in the KR and see if I can average more than 120 kilometers an hour all the way up there. And one time I had a cracker of a run all the way up there, and I think I did it in about 2 hours and 15 minutes, so it would have been averaging about 120 k's an hour, or maybe 130, hitting almost 200 when I was racing an old turbo Nissan Exa up there, and that was a bit of fun. So that was on the old Karoonda road too, and that's like bumpy and carrying on, and man, hitting 200 k's on the old 250 screaming two-stroke. Yeah, that's not something I'd be contemplating now. So on this trip, I'm kind of thinking, I'm not really comparing riding a ZH2 to other bikes that are more well built for touring, built for long distance riding. I'm not really comparing that. In some ways, in my mind, I'm comparing my experience late last century on some of the other bikes, and I rode things like it. I do remember riding the DT250 from the Riverland to Adelaide and back again a couple of times, so that vibrating your whole skeleton the whole way, but you're only 24, 25 years old, so who cares, and you never get a sore ass. So I would creeping up in the speed a little bit here. So comparing the bikes I used to ride over this trip compared to what I could ride now, the ZH2 is like a spaceship. It's a spacecraft compared to that. It's got cruise control. I've got cruise control. I can just relax my right hand. It's going to be crazy, and it's already a lot more comfortable. Strangely enough, I thought, wow, the wind is going to be full on. I'll wait until I have to sit on 110 k's an hour for an hour or two. But the aerodynamics of this bike, even though it's a naked bike, it's an amazing how much the cockpit provides you some shelter. Sure, I'm getting hit in the face, obviously, with some wind, but the way this bike deflects around your legs, it's very comfortable. Having said that, I don't have a lot of other experience on adventure bikes and things to compare it to anything like that, but compared to my old bikes and compared to, say, riding the DT250 300 kilometers, this is luxurious. It's smooth, the power is just there whenever you want it, and to that point, the power, I'm really trying hard not to really engage the supercharger taking off and that sort of thing, because I want to see what sort of fuel economy it gets. But if I hammer it at all, it just drinks it. It just drinks the fuel. When I get around the city and that, I'm always hammering it off the lights and popping little wheelies and stuff. And then when I'm almost filling it up every couple of days. So if you want fuel economy out of a motorcycle, this is not the motorcycle. This is not it. If you want appalling fuel economy and just smiles riding to work in the morning, you buy this bike. But now, cruising on it, I mean, sitting on 6th gear, it's sitting at, it's almost like I want a 7th gear. It's sort of sitting at that 4,000 revs. So it's got a bit of a buzz to it, a little bit of a buzz through the foot pegs, but everything else is okay. But maybe that's the Airhawk seat cover doing its job. Maybe. And I think what I'll do now is probably pop it on cruise control for a bit. Look at this, salt flats out here. They mine all the salt. Power plant, power station. It's pretty the industrial end of Adelaide that you go through before you get to some of the hills and the nice stuff. Yeah. But I think I'm going to really enjoy this. I don't tend to do music to distract me. I take the opportunity to just be in my own head. There's so few occasions in life with family, work, everything, that you can't just have a moment with your own brain and your own body. So I'm going to just enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy just no music, just the sound of the bike, enjoying the scenery, and my butt slowly going numb. Well, here's some bikers, fellas. Nice. Not my kind of bike, but then again it might be after this trip. This is the stretch where I really feel like I've left the city. Coming through the Barossa, it's already browned off for summer. Barossa Valley down there. Great towns like Tanunda coming up. But look, I'm finding, yeah, this is easy. Okay, it's windy, but it's easy. It's like, obviously it's revving high. I've already got fuel anxiety. It dropped a bar and I thought, stuff it, I'll pull in and fill it up. So I've already put some fuel in it to keep it full, just in case. Absolute madness. But loving the cruise control. That's a big difference. Game changer, really. Got to have cruise control on a bike if you're going to go anywhere in some distance. I think this bike would be, yeah, I'd think twice about taking it if it didn't have cruise control. Being able to rest your right hand and basically tuck it in, because I'm really finding any movement of my arms out and about catches the wind and is pulling me around. So that's just a symptom of not having any fairing, of course, but still there is no doubt the suspension on this thing, oop, there we go, bit of a bump, and just how smooth it is. You can see why the platform, Kawasaki has taken it to all the other levels in terms of detuning it a bit, turning it into a touring bike, touring motor. This sort of supercharged platform gives you all the power you need to be cruising on the street. Now this is revving, I think, quite high because it's tuned for all that low and mid-range torque, for the giggles. But with a bit of different tuning, you can see how this motor would just slowly pull, and you've got no problem with any power you need for overtaking, of course, and stuff like that. So far I'm really happy, and I'm very happy with this Airhawk cushion seat. I don't think I'd be doing it without that either, or some form of comfort seat. Back, you know, when I was back riding up here on the KR or the DT250 or something like that, it never even occurred to me about how sore my butt was, or how you know, how numb it was getting. I don't even recall that. Maybe that's the resilience of youth, or the ignorance of youth. You know, you just jump on a bike and you go, and it doesn't really matter what the bike is. You just got to go there. The other difference is back then, it was my only option. If I wanted to go there, I had to use the bike, because I didn't have a car. Well, I had the EJ, but the EJ was from time to time mothballed, and I just had the bike, and that's all I had was a bike. So it's different now. I think as I'm older and I'm cruising down this road, it enters my mind occasionally that, yeah, I'd probably be comfortable in one of our cars. I'd probably be comfortable, more relaxed. But I tell you what, I wouldn't be in my own head. I'd be disconnected. I'd be listening to some crap on the radio, you know, and I'd be thinking differently. Riding like this makes you think differently. Yeah. You're somehow, a big part of your brain is still engaged with riding, and so that therapeutic side of your brain focused on and deliberately making yourself focus on the riding rather than thinking other thoughts is, I think, where the pure relaxation comes from. You push other thoughts aside because all you want to do is ride smoothly and not die. So not dying is a big part of enjoying riding. I would think, and I have no intention of planning a trip like this and not being able to come back from it. So I would have many years of riding ahead of me. So I'm generally sticking to the speed limit, not doing anything silly, not like I used to do when I was younger. This would have been a wide open road, and this would have been a 200-kilometre road for sure. But no, not now. It's beautiful in its austerity, isn't it? This countryside. Managing my fuel anxiety again. It dropped a couple of bars, so geez, I better stop, top it up. Okay, we'll keep going though. Make a pretty good time. I'll just head off to Blanchetown. Just come through Truro, little town we'd usually stop at for lunch and stuff on the way back. The timing from the Riverland to Adelaide, and you know, I was really looking forward to getting some nice footage of the Accommodation Hill, coming over Accommodation Hill. It's the last of the Adelaide Hills, and so typical, GoPro just started or stopped working as I got there. So this is as good as it gets to show that panorama. But you come over the hills and it's just floodplains for about, you know, 1,000 kilometres. Now that's one thing you don't get when you're driving in a car normally, unless you've got the vents pumping air in. But you're approaching a spot, usually coincides with a kind of a change in temperature, a warm spot as you're riding along, and that growing scent of decaying roadkill. There's nothing quite like it. It's been a kangaroo that's been hit or something like that, but it must have a radius of just the scent that gets carried on the wind, because you smell it, you approach it, and yep, there it is. Nice big carcass of a kangaroo that's rotting away by the side of the road. That's a uniquely Australian experience, I think, the roadkill kangaroo. I'm sure there is other wildlife that suffer similar treatment in other parts of the world, but yeah, kangaroo's going to be a unique one to hit, and it's not something I'd want to hit on the bike because they're solid buggers. Well, that was an interesting brunch. Good solid roadhouse brunch that I don't think I'll ever do again. So let's go. We're heading off from Blanchetown, going to have a peek at the river. Coming up to the bridge. It used to be an old railway bridge. I think it's still over there. That was the old road bridge over there. And here you can look down. Mighty River Murray at Blanchetown. It's awesome. Over there's a lock. Yeah. Spent a lot of time in that water. But this is that crossing. You're crossing coming from Adelaide. Once I cross this, you know, you actually come into the Riverland before you reach Blanchetown, but once you cross the river, now I'm home. Now all this is like stomping ground. Awesome. Good feeling. I'm doing this trip actually because my father's a bit sick. He's not well, he's had Parkinson's. He's been living with Parkinson's for a while, for a few years now. Managing it pretty well, but he was in hospital a week ago. And yeah, crazy bugger. He's 75 and he's out there running because he thinks, oh yeah, I'll just get fitter, that'll fix it. But he's probably pushed it a bit far and ended up in hospital. Anyway, I'm taking the opportunity just to come up here by myself and see my parents and, you know, just be with them. And it's not often I take the opportunity to come up and just be with them by myself. So important to do, I think. And I don't do it enough. Typical. Life gets in the way of the people you care about most. You risk taking relationships for granted. It's an interesting relationship though, because you know, I left home effectively when I was 16, when I went to the United States on exchange, and then it was pretty much off to uni. But so, you know, my parents, mum was 18 when she had me, so they were only in their early 40s when they basically had no kids at home after my sister left. So imagine that. I can't imagine that. I'm in my early 50s and I've got years before I've got a good chance of being an empty nester. And I don't know, I don't mind that. But man, they've lived by themselves. They've been on their own, sort of not having to worry about managing children for a long time. So a different kind of relationship, I think. Coming in through Waikerie. So first town in what I'd consider the Riverland proper. So lovely town, the river's just over there, and another little road stop. We used to have a lot of inter-school type carnivals and things like that, so we'd be coming to Waikerie, going to Loxton, Renmark. We're all around the towns. We're in a regional school, so there's about 2,000 students. Big school, very competitive, great sports culture. There's the river. Waikerie ski site down there. It's nice. Wish I had time to get the boat out. Got the Waikerie gliding club up here. Apparently it's one of the best places in the world for gliding, this flat desert type area next to the river. Apparently has some fantastic thermals in this area, so you often see gliding, and they have gliding competitions. It's the Wakery Gliding Club. I know my parents did a bit of gliding here many years ago. Never done it. A bit more of a ground dweller, but yeah, wouldn't be bad. Try it. Much fun. See if I can get past him here. No problem. God, I love it. I love it when that supercharger kicks in and it is just gone. Bloody acceleration in 6th gear, cruising along. Drop it down and it just goes. Brilliant. Starting to see more grapevines now. Big wine industry. This area produces something like 70% of Australia's bulk grape juice for wine. So when you're buying wine in New South Wales from a vineyard there, chances are it's been bulked up with Riverland grape juice. So, or bulked up with Riverland wine. All those wineries in New South Wales, Victoria, even Western Australia, all bulked up with Riverland wine, Shiraz, Chardonnay, all the basics. That's what we used to produce. Bulk Chardonnay, bulk Shiraz, had apricots and stone fruit for a long time, oranges. We produced just about everything. And over the years, my family being up here since the 1860s, arriving in 1856, they grew just about everything. And because they were German settlers, they sort of were very productive anyway. And even in the First World War, Second World War, my family didn't tend to get locked up in the camps with the other German and Italian settlers at that time, because it was because they were such large landholders and primary producers. They needed all that to keep going for the war effort. And back then our little empire had a brick factory and a soft drink factory, range of other dried fruit packing sheds. All of that stuff was built up here by my great grandfather, and I'm kind of glad it's all come to an end. It got broken up typically in the 1930s. Jesus Christ! What the fuck? Jesus Christ, that was fucking scary. Okay. Two more minutes, or not even that. 15 seconds later, I would have bloody hit that. Stupid. That's the way to ruin a good story. Someone pulling out in front of you. I'll tell you what, I like the brakes. Those brakes were beautiful. That brought me down from 120, 115 k's an hour. I don't know, maybe it's on camera, but it brought me down like within 100 meters or so, down to that 20, 30 kilometers an hour. Awesome. Felt really solid, straight, just planted. That's confidence inspiring, actually, to have had that happen. And it's the first time that's happened where I've had someone pull out in front of me. I've had to hit the skids, or not even skids, but hit the pegs. Yeah. Wow, there you go. It might be one for dirt bike lunatic, never know. Yeah, well that ruined a good story. I'm not sure I can get my mind back on track to talking about nice things about family heritage when you're just about plough into some clown that's pulled in front of you in their little maroon Nissan or whatever it was. I was talking about wine. Some great wine up here. Cost cheap, good wine. We've seen this winery grow. My old man used to work here a bit a while ago before he retired. Kingston, the bulk producer. Just coming up here, there's a turn off to Barook, lovely little town, just down this turn off. Oh Jesus Christ! The direction of that wind plus the truck wind really hammers you. Dropping the speed a little bit. Love riding by reducing and increasing your speed incrementally using the cruise control. Here we are. So the river's winding its way back around to Blanchetown. We're crossing over again. Plenty of water. There's still a few yabbies around, maybe. I don't know if I'd want to camp right by the causeway here. Bloody rowdy Kawasaki's going past. About the threshold where you cross into Barmera and your indicators stop working. Used to be a running joke, like so many people in Barmera that lived in Barmera, they never used their indicators. You never know which way they were turning, and you come into the town here, no one used their indicators. So there's always a joke that it must have been some alien landing creating a special magnetic field that maybe didn't affect the indicators as such, but definitely affected people's brains the way they drove. So anyway, coming into Barmera, the home of Lake Bonnie, eh? A lake that was created when they put in the lock. I can't remember, lock 2 or lock 4, I can't remember, but they put in a lock down there, backed up the river, and it created a lake. My grandfather used to say when that flooded, there was all sorts of stuff under there. There's farm machinery and old cars and all sorts of stuff. It's probably all rusted away by now or been removed. But, you know, it's got a kind of a salty, brackish. Yeah, brackish is the word. That's a great word, brackish. It's got a brackish kind of quality to the water. So it's not really like the fresh or the fresh muddy river water. It's got a kind of a salty quality, which isn't bad. It's not bad. You get a few dead fish in it though. Doesn't make the water quality fabulous. But you know, we might just cruise down around the lakefront because it's not bad. It's a nice place. Very popular. Like people from Adelaide coming up here, caravans, and the caravan park here does really well. You can see it down here. You got bicycle park for kids and all sorts of stuff. It's very nice. And that's the thing about the Riverland. When you're a kid growing up, when you first got your license, man, it was cool. You could, well, even before that, we used to ride mini bikes from town to town before we had a license. Come here for a swim in the lake, then hair off through the fruit blocks all the way to Berry and go for a swim in the river. That sense of freedom, man, you've got to work hard to get that sense of freedom. It's even busy now. It's not even school holidays. Yeah, wow, doing some fishing. About all you catch is carp, European carp that pretty much stuffed up the waterways. Although I think some of the redfin and cod might be coming back after a bit of a campaign to kill off the carp, because they get in the mud and they eat and destroy the eggs of other fish, apparently. I'm not no fish expert, but I've been to the yacht club a bit. Nice set up like that, ski boat. Nice, all the kids jumping off the jetty down here, awesome. Oh, that's cool. They've done it up a bit, new toilets, a little playground over here. That's where I used to play footy. Played footy for Barbara Monash. I was never much of a footy player, but I liked it at the time, till I cracked some ribs and thought, this is stupid. That's it. That's what it was all about. Getting out on the ski boat down here. Bloody awesome. Footy club. Had a few shindigs there. Hung out at the basketball courts, netball courts, of course. Used to come and watch my wife play netball when we were at school. And basketball. And down here is one of my parents' favourite little haunts, is the Bluebird Cafe. Make great fish and chips, amongst other things. But camp out there on the lawn and it's very pleasant. So we'll head back up this way. Might head back up this way and back around and get some more fuel, because geez, she's down to 3 bars on the fuel gauge. Can't have that. Because I'm not sure Monash is going to have a 98 octane. See if we can catch anyone not using their indicators. So the pub was in here. You can stay at the pub. So they're fixing up the pool. Classic, typical Australian main street. Got the cannon. Bit of an old Art Deco pub. So, oh, look at that KLR Traveller. Nice. KLR 650. Lovely little town. We used to have our proms over here in the theatre. Final year proms. Yeah, no indicator. Get some fuel, I think. Oh. I think I'd be lost without this Airhawk seat cover. Geez, watch the potholes. used to walk all the time when I was a kid, walking everywhere as well, meeting mates. Didn't even think twice about an hour and a half, 2 hour, 3 hour walk. Just the only way to get there. Didn't know your bike was stuffed or something. So I used to walk right across these plains. None of this was here, the tanks and all that. Cut right across there to the lake. Dodging the lizards and the snakes. But I'd just jog right through there. Never thought about it. But all these areas, these farms out here, we knew all the guys who owned those farms, and that's where we used to go. Kangaroo shooting and rabbit shooting out here. Sort of right across this area. I never much got into that. No good when you're, you know, 10, 11, 12 years old and you're given the job of kind of finishing them off with a 22. That's sort of probably coloured my experience right into me becoming a vegetarian, I think. Never quite wired that way for hunting him in that way. Down through the Monash bypass road. If you've seen any of the other videos on the KLX or the CRF 250 we've got, the sort of areas we've been riding around. Just letting them know I'm coming. Bit of off-road action on the ZH2. See how it goes in a bit of this boggy sand up here. I'm not excited about this. That's not too bad. Don't want to get in the middle of that though. Here we are. Hey. Doesn't look like anyone's home. Howdy. Yeah, got to put toilets in and pay for all these barriers, charge everybody. Fines for parking in places you're not allowed to park.
You know, I didn't really plan to go for a drive. Well, maybe he did. But go for a drive around some of the places along the river and Catarapco Creek where we grew up in different eras and kind of together for that matter. And these are all spots where my grandfather and my great-grandfather would have went for a swim with their mates. Important to visit places of your youth sometimes, I think, and borrow maybe a bit of that energy from that time when you were younger. Some of that energy that might still be there.
Put your back into it.
The land we're approaching here was in the family for 100 years or so. Dad tells me their original home is still here. He hasn't been back since the late 80s when he came here with his brother, and I haven't been here since I think I was about 2 years old. So this should be interesting.
So is that right? It's Heinrich that built it. Heinrich Trag had built it. Heinrich built it in about 1906.
I can't remember. It must have been around about 2015 or...
Yeah, 1915.
See what I'm following.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just marking your territory again. Where'd you go? Oh, you ran around there. I went inside. Hey?
This floor is here.
Yeah.
I put that down.
Oh, jeez.
And I carried the bloody gravel, building a new road up the top of Wiki Road, So I carted the gravel to do that. In the bucket.
In buckets.
Yeah, would have been about, or just about K, I suppose, a bit more. And the thing is, we only had, that was,
Bloody hornets up there in the light.
the water supply there.
Don't bother them. That's the water, eh?
It's the only water in the house. The old fireplace.
Yeah.
Careful out here for snakes, I think.
Yeah, I reckon. Great spot for snakes.
Bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
We did have a shower, that's right, it was above the chip heater.
What, the bath and the shower is all more recent.
Yeah, I don't think we had a shower. Well, this has made improvements.
There's been some improvements.
This has been renovated.
Oh yeah, it's been used as a workshop. Ooh. Any of that wallpaper and the painting from Nanny?
I don't know. The painted purple is probably there.
We've got this light green colour.
Well, this is the dining room, and this was one of the bedrooms. This one, and then it didn't have that open area there.
That's got stove and that in there now.
Yeah, well, it'll be different now. Had improvements done.
Partial renovations.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of wasp nests.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is another bedroom over here.
Yeah. It was Mum and Dad's room. That's where they used to practice all their instruments.
In here.
Yeah, that was the dining, the lounge area.